Morning, everybody. Hopefully, this is working. They've changed the dashboard, haven't they, on Facebook just to confuse everyone when we're all ready to go live for this fabulous virtual event. So I'm just going to give it a minute or two because I know it can be a little bit slow. So if anybody can hear me and it is working, please do let me know in the comments. And then what I'll do is I will start my screen share and tell you all a little bit about the fabulous charity that I have the honour of working for. So while I give people a chance to let me know if this is working, I will just tell you a little bit about me. So my name's Rachel. I have worked for Dog Assistance in Disability, a charity in the UK, for just coming up to a year tomorrow. So it'll be my Dog Assistance anniversary tomorrow. Um, I previously worked for two of the very large rescues in the UK as a manager. So I've worked as a manager for Dogs Trust, I've worked as a manager for the RSPCA. My background has previously always been in kind of pet dog training as opposed to training assistance dogs. But I'll tell you a little bit about kind of why my job is the way that it is at present. And some of you may have gathered from my background that this is not the Dog Aid office, because although restrictions are easing today, and in theory, we might be getting back to doing some dog training face to face outdoors in public places in the UK. I'm not back in the office just yet. So I'm doing this from home. So hopefully the technology will work. And I can't see anybody's comments. So hopefully people can see and hear me. So I will share my screen and I will tell you a little bit about Dog Aid. And then if anybody's got any questions, hopefully then I'll be able to kind of answer them for people at the end. So let's see if we can get it to work. No, not gonna let me. That's not helpful. I'm not getting the option to screen share, so I don't know if anybody can put in the comments to let me know if you can see me or if you can see my screen, because it is not letting me see at the minute, which is annoying. Nor can I see your comments, which is not helpful. Come on, little computer. Um, Please bear with me. I'm not sure what it is doing. It's not showing me any of your comments, even though it's saying there's 4. It won't let me actually look at them. And it's not letting me share my screen. So I don't know if you can already see my screen, because it's not letting me know. I don't know what is going on with it, unfortunately. Just Okay, so I've just had a message through on my phone to say that you can see me, but you can't see my screen. Yeah, it's not letting me do my screen share, which is really annoying because it was just before I started. I did a little practice and it let me share my screen, and now it's not. So unfortunately, I'll just have to talk you through everything. And then what I will do is I will give you all my email address, and I can send the slides over if anybody wants the slides. So I do apologise. Hopefully it'll let me at least kind of click through them so I can see my notes. So yeah, Dog Assistance in Disability. We are an assistance dog charity based in the UK. So the charity was actually set up quite a long time ago. It was in 1992. It was established in the Midlands based on the American dog training model called Top Dog Model. So for any of you over in the USA, you might have heard of that. Certainly for myself and some of the staff I think actually we're potentially a bit too young. I was 3, so it doesn't really ring any bells with me. But yeah, we were set up in 1992 in the Midlands, and our office is still very much in the Midlands. So we are kind of based in Shrewsbury, although we cover the whole of the UK. So in 1994, that's when the first 2 dog aid dogs qualified to be assistance dog level. So in 1996, the charity had their first kind of formal launch at Crufts. And I know that probably people are a bit sad at the minute because we found out, haven't we, that Crufts is definitely not going ahead this year. But usually, up until this year, Dog Aid has always had a presence at Crufts. And actually, before I started last year, I went down and I got to see some of our fabulous clients and their dogs doing demonstrations at Crufts. So yeah, Crufts in 1996. And then in 2009, kind of things really kind of ramped up for the charity. And that's when Dog Aid got full membership of Assistance Dogs UK, so A.I.D UK. Some of you would recognize them by their yellow circle logo with like a hand with a dog's head over the top, which I'd love to show you, but I can't get the technology to work. So we've got Assistance Dog UK membership and also ADI, so Assistance Dogs International, as well as ADEU, so Assistance Dogs Europe. In 2015, that was when we first moved into having kind of like an actual staff team at Dog Aid. So up until this point, so for a good number of years, the charity had been all run, all organised by a group of volunteers. And that is when 2015, we got a first kind of staff paid team. So unlike some of the other assistance dog charities in the UK, we are really small. So there's myself. So I am the training and development manager. I am at present the only full-time member of staff that Dog Assistance and Disability has. Then we've got Charlie. Charlie's our finance officer. She works part-time, doing all the important things like paying the staff, invoicing people for assessments fees, jackets, bringing all of the kind of money into the bank and doing all the important stuff. Then we've got Jen, who's our senior fundraising officer. And Jen's focus at the minute with the world is kind of being the way it is with COVID is very much on like online fundraising. So if you are kind of able to see the donations button on the side, Jen does our Facebook fundraisers and she does little competitions and things. So we've had recently a Christmas photograph competition where you paid £1 via PayPal to enter and then sent us a lovely picture of your dog. So Jen is our fundraising officer. And then we have 2 fabulous part-time admin officers who are kind of the first person that a client would come across in the charity. So our admin officers, Laura and Tara, are the people who will be answering all the emails, they answer the phone, they send out the paperwork. They have so many different jobs that they do, and how they do it being part-time is beyond me. They work amazingly hard. So yeah, really small team that we have only 5 paid members of staff in the charity, and 4 of those are part-time. So we are really small. So if you've heard of Dog Aid before, and you wondered kind of how we do everything, we do it from our little office in Shrewsbury, and we have a really small paid team who kind of try and support all of our many clients and volunteer trainers. So at present, we have 117 qualified assistance dogs in the UK. We have 127 clients who are currently going through training with their own pet dogs to become assistance dogs. And we have over 100 volunteer dog trainers who are changing the lives and helping these clients to train their dogs. So yeah, very small paid team and heavily reliant on our fabulous volunteer dog trainers. So when I put up my event for this talk, I was very much kind of saying to people that I would cover why it might matter to you as a pet dog owner. So if you're looking at training a dog to be your assistance dog in the UK, we might have something that, you know, could help you. You might want to get involved with Dog Aid that way. If you are a canine professional and you're watching this, then please do keep listening or come back and fast forward later on to the bit about trainers, because we would love to get some more of you involved in Dog Aid. So what do we do? Why are we a bit different? So I mentioned just before that we train people's pet dogs to help with disabilities. And that is where we differ from a lot of the assistance dog charities. So we do not um, kind of breed dogs. We don't have a kennel centre. We don't have a breeding facility. All we do is work with the pet dog that the client already has. Okay, so we're different in that sense, which is why we just have a small little office in Shrewsbury because we don't need any kennels. So we train people's pet dogs that are between the ages of 6 months to 5 years old when they start the dog aid scheme. What breeds do we use? It really depends on what people have. Okay, and that's another reason why we're a little bit different. When you see a dog aid dog out and about in its red qualified jacket, it isn't necessarily going to be a Labrador. It isn't necessarily going to be a Golden Retriever. Okay, we have got some very small but very mighty dogs on our schemes. We have got a beautiful little Chihuahua at the minute. There's a Border Terrier, there is a Schnauzer, there is a Tibetan Terrier. There are all sorts of different dogs on our scheme. Okay. And that, in some respects, can make it a bit harder for our clients because people expect assistance dogs to look like a guide dog in the UK. They are the most kind of common isn't the right word, but the dogs, assistance dogs you would see the most of tend to be of certain breeds, but not when they come through dog aid because they are people's pet dogs. All right. Some people do choose the Fab Four. We do have people whose dogs are your more stereotypical assistance dog type breeds, but not always. So one of the things that I'd love if you're kind of pet dog owner watching this is to just kind of raise awareness that assistance dogs don't have to look a certain way. Okay, they can be small, they can be fluffy, they can be any breed or crossbreed. So please bear that in mind. Doesn't mean that somebody's dog is not an assistance dog. Okay, they can be any shape or size. So we're training their pet dog and we're training them between the ages of 6 months to 5 years. Why do we pick that age range? Well, the training that our clients undertake can take between 6 months to 2 years to complete. So if we look at a dog who's at the kind of end of that age range that we accept, okay, so say 5 years, if it took 2 years to train that dog, then they're going to be 7 years old when they reach qualified assistance dog status. Okay, depending on your breed, you're potentially not going to have that long before we have to start looking at a successor dog for that person. Okay, because that dog is going to need to retire. They might start to develop health conditions. They might just slow down a bit. Okay, so we do try to keep our dogs under 5 years old before they start their training. Why don't we take on teeny tiny puppies? Because they need the chance to be a puppy. All right. And you, as a client, a potential client who's just got a beautiful, I don't know, 10-week-old cockapoo, need to have time to get a bond with your pup. They need a chance to learn all the basics. Okay, so before we start them on the dog aid scheme and before we sign them up to be an assistance dog, we are letting them have that opportunity to get used to your home, get used to you, and start to build that bond. And then when they reach 6 months old, that's when we can start looking at getting these dogs part of the dog aid scheme and training them to become a qualified assistance dog. So we use volunteer dog trainers, and these are professional dog trainers who really kindly give up their time to be a dog aid trainer. That looks like kind of an hour a week potentially, depends on the client, depends on the trainer. Okay, but when you initially join up, be it as a trainer or as a client, and you meet your person you're going to be paired with, okay, so as a trainer when you first meet your client, as a client when you first get paired with your trainer, you will have that conversation and decide what is going to work best for you. Okay, so for some trainers, they might need to do their training maybe fortnightly, but spend a little bit longer when they go and see their clients. They might go for 2 to 3 hours fortnightly. Some people might do one session a month, but spend half a day together or a full day together. It's about you as individuals and what works best for you. Okay. And for some clients, that will depend on their disability. Okay. Long sessions, like a half day session, might not be suitable for some clients. They might get too tired. Okay. So it really does depend on the individual. So it's hard for me to give an exact amount of time, but roughly, let's say an hour a week. Okay, so potentially an hour a week or a couple of hours a fortnight or half a day a month. Okay, however you want to schedule it, that's what we'd be looking at doing as formal training time. A lot of our volunteer trainers catch up with their clients in between sessions. So certainly at the minute, because we've had to work virtually for so long, we've been using things like WhatsApp and Zoom and FaceTime, and our clients and trainers have been sharing videos of their dogs and the training progress that they're making. Okay, rather than having to wait since, what have we been in lockdown now? 3, 4 months. Okay, so it's not like training has just stopped and that people have done nothing for 3 months. Okay, there's been phone calls, text, and we've been still progressing the training in that way. So in a normal non-COVID, or hopefully now that COVID restrictions are lifting, world, okay, our volunteer trainers go to our client's home and work with the client and their pet dog in their home. And we do it there because that is going to be where a lot of the dogs need to be doing their assistance dog tasks. So there's going to be things in the home that potentially they need to help the client with. Okay, one of the clients, to give you an example, there was certain buttons in the house that would raise alarms if the client needed assistance. Okay, so that is going to be really important that we train that with the client in the home because the dog needs to know where those buttons and alarms are. Okay, they need to be able to go and find them in the home. So our volunteer trainers work with the clients in their homes and they work through a 3-tier program. So we have 3 levels within our training scheme. You don't just sign up at 6 months with your puppy and then, within 6 months they have kind of gone from A to B. There's some stages that they work through. So the first stage that our volunteer trainers help our clients with is getting through their level 1 training. And particularly for puppies, this is really important. Some of the older dogs will kind of go through this stage quite quickly because they will have already done the work elsewhere. But it's about socialization. When we look at what our assistance dogs are going to be ultimately asked to do and what is expected of them as a qualified assistance dog, the locations they might need to go to, okay, the key thing at level 1 is getting our dogs appropriately socialized. So different venues, different scenarios, different sounds, different animals. Okay, they need to react appropriately to all of those different things. Okay, and what we're looking for really is a calm, steady dog throughout. Okay, and if you're a puppy, you might get excited when we see other dogs. You might get excited when a bird flies overhead. Okay, like my current client does. He's very interested in birds at the minute. But that's fine. All we need to do is get the training in place so that when those dogs pass the scheme, what actually happens is that they are an appropriate dog who gives an appropriate, calm, and steady response. So, level 1 is really basic obedience, sit, down, stand, good walking skills, okay, good loose lead walking, good recall. Okay, quite basic stuff that a lot of people in this call, your pet dogs might already do these things, okay, and that's fine. But those basics have to be there before we can move on to our level 2 and level 3 training, which is where we start to bring in more of the assistance dog based tasks. All right. So, for those of you who are watching this as dog trainers, that's when your shaping skills are going to get tested. Okay. What your client's dog goes on to learn really does depend. Okay. And at Dog Aid, we work with clients who have physical disabilities. Okay. So we don't train medical alert dogs. Okay. And we don't train for emotional support dogs. That's not to say that some of our dogs don't do those things of their own accord. Okay. Some of them are natural alerters. And when you speak to our clients, a lot of them will tell you that the dogs support them from the mental health side of things as well. Okay, but that is kind of a byproduct of their fabulous relationships. It is not something we're actively kind of going out and training our dogs to do. We're training dogs for things like picking up dropped items, fetching medication, sounding an alarm to help. Okay, and that's not necessarily going away and physically getting someone. It might be pressing a button that is linked to an app on the client's phone that sends their location to a friend, family member, relative to let them know where that client is. Okay, so it really depends on your dog and it really depends on the client what we're going to be training. Okay, because what we can train a Chihuahua to do is going to be very different to a Labrador. Okay, the little chihuahua is not going to necessarily be jumping up and turning on and off light switches. There's a bit of a size imbalance there, and most light switches are going to be too high up for that dog to use. Okay, so it really does depend on the dog and the client's needs and what they're looking for support with. So we can't, as kind of a charity, say you need to be able to train a dog to do X, Y, and Z to be a trainer with us. It's not about that. Okay, what we're looking for and what is so fabulous about this kind of whole conference is it's been about kind of force-free training. Okay, so that's what we're looking for is, are you a professional dog trainer who has the skill set to use positive reinforcement training to shape our dog's behavior to help our clients with what they need? Okay, so at level 2, we're going to need a good tug. Okay, most of the dogs are going to need to have a good tug to help them potentially open doors, open cupboard doors. Okay, that's a really key skill that we need. Another key skill, targeting. Okay, if you can train a dog to target, that's going to be really beneficial for a lot of the behaviors that our clients need. So opening doors that have got buttons, the buttons at road crossings, some of our dogs jump up and press those for our clients. We need our dogs to do a good retrieve. That is another really key thing to get them to do, whether it's retrieving keys, whether it's retrieving phones, picking up dropped items, getting the post. Okay, there's these underpinning concepts that are really helpful to have had experience training before, but it's not compulsory. Okay, I look for, when I'm hiring new trainers and taking on new volunteer trainers, someone who has the kind of the empathy and this human skill set to work with our clients. Okay, because some of our clients are vulnerable and they're going to need a lot of support. They're going to need things explained to them in kind of easy ways or flexible, adaptable ways that maybe in your typical pet dog class with 6 dog owners in the village hall, you wouldn't necessarily need to do. Okay, so you have to think a lot when you're working with a dog aid client. And that's personally why I love it. I see it a bit as kind of enrichment, human enrichment for the trainers. It really tests your brain and you've got to come up with new solutions. It's problem solving all the time. So that's lovely. You know, that for me as a trainer is so much better to have to be doing something new than just doing a sit and a down the same way, luring a dog into position time and time again. Okay, but with a different group of puppies on a Saturday morning. It's really lovely to have that flexibility and something new, a new challenge to go to whenever I take on a client and go and see them with their dog. So our trainers are experienced, they're reward based. Okay, we don't use aversives in our training. And that is potentially a way that we are a little bit different. So our trainers and our clients both will sign a contract when they join Dog Aid, and it goes through the types of dog training equipment that we wouldn't accept to be used at Dog Aid. Okay, so there is no use of prong collars. We don't use equipment that tightens on the dogs. Okay, if a dog starts to bark at things, we ask ourselves why, and we look at why the dog has started to bark at things. What we certainly don't do is bring out some punishment based techniques to try and stop that dog from barking. Okay, so it is reward based. We are problem solving all the time, and it is a professional trainer who volunteers their time and their skill set to help a client, an individual, to train their own pet dog to become their qualified assistance dog. What we find is that this really improves our individual clients' kind of confidence and their resilience. Because although the trainers work with the clients and they will kind of demonstrate things perhaps and give them homework and bits and pieces to do, what they don't do is take the dog away and train it. Okay, we don't do residential training. But it isn't a boot camp for your dog. They don't get sent away and come back as an all singing, all dancing assistance dog. What we do is we empower our clients. So our trainers give that skill set to the clients. The clients are training their pet dogs themselves. And because of that education and that empowerment of these owners, well, not only do they come out of this with a fully accredited assistance dog, they come out of this with their own new skill sets, their own kind of new abilities to train their pet dog to do things. And that's really important for us because it increases their independence, but also for some of our clients, they've actually gone on to become dog trainers themselves. Okay. And we do have quite a few clients now who have done so well and got so involved in the dog training and gone away after they've trained their own dog to be their assistance dog. And they've now kind of really honed in on their training skills and they're now dog trainers themselves. Some of them have their own dog training businesses and some of them take on further assistance dog clients with Dog Aid. So that's lovely. It's like a full circle completed. Okay. That's not compulsory. You don't have to become a dog trainer after you've trained your own assistance dog with Dog Aid. But it just shows how important it is that our trainers are developing those skills within their own clients rather than just simply training the dog. Okay, it is about helping that person. That also helps our clients because sometimes their conditions, their disabilities are progressive and they might worsen. Things might change within their condition, which means what they need their dog to do when they join Dog Aid and what they need their dog to do 3, 4 years later might be different. So instead of having going back to a trainer and saying, right, I need my dog to do X, Y, and Z now, they've already got that skill set there. The client knows how to shape, they know how to get that behavior. Okay. And they can teach their dog to do new things that actually, when they were going through their assessments, we didn't teach them. Our trainers didn't teach them that. The clients have taught the dogs that themselves, which is fantastic. Okay, so everything we do is personally tailored to that individual client. We do it in their own environment. Okay, and in a normal kind of non-COVID situation, you wouldn't necessarily just work with your own trainer. We'd have opportunities for our clients and our trainers to meet up together. So pre-COVID, we held 2 workshops a year for trainers and 2 workshops a year for clients and trainers together, which was fantastic because there is a social aspect of being able to meet other like-minded individuals who have been through similar situations, who can understand your frustrations and the difficulties you experience in day-to-day life. Okay. But also it's about getting to watch other people training their dogs, seeing the different ways people are doing things and thinking, oh, actually, I could try that with my dog. Okay. Shared learning and group situations like that are fantastic because not only for the clients, but the trainers too, you see different ways of doing things. And there was a talk by one of our Dog Aid trainers earlier on in the virtual dog conference. Kirsten Dillon did a talk about kind of the human end of the assistance dog partnership. And she mentioned that we used to do at our workshops an element called in their shoes. And for our trainers, that's a really important opportunity at a workshop because some of the things that our clients need help with, you might not have experienced before. So knowing how to adapt your training might be quite hard if you can't understand what maybe visual or physical impairments that this client is working with when they're trying to train their dog. So we have crutches, we have wheelchairs, we have all sorts of bits of equipment that we will get our trainers using and then ask them to train their own dog. Okay, so they are really trying to put themselves into the perspective of how do I train this from this situation? Okay, because training a dog for loose lead walking is different if you're in a wheelchair than if you're standing and you're walking. You know, how we're doing this is different. Where the dog needs to be is different. How the handler needs to position themselves and the reward is different. Okay, so these are all things that we can help our trainers with if they haven't done them before. So what does having a Dog Aid dog do for our clients? So we've already touched on the fact that it gives them increased confidence. It gives them increased independence. But some of the bits that maybe people aren't aware of is that when we did some surveys with our clients recently, what we found was that some of our clients really felt they had less reliance on medical staff, medical interventions, but also family members after getting their assistance dog. Okay, so when they went through the scheme, what they found was not only did they have more independence, but because they were out and about more and they had increased social contact, for some of them, their anxiety, their and potential depression, things like that, it alleviated a little bit. It gave them more kind of confidence. It gave them more opportunities, more companionship. And as a side effect of that, things changed in their lives that they weren't expecting. Some people have gone back into jobs. Some people have gone on to be volunteers themselves, not necessarily for Dog Aid, but for other charities, other organisations. We actually have a fabulous client at the minute who, with his qualified Dog Aid dog, has been helping with COVID testing. So the dog goes and she's there, and because she's there, she's making the people coming in for COVID tests, she's putting them at ease because they see her. She's cute, she's fluffy, she's lovely, she's a talking point. She's making people less anxious. Okay, so she's not only just helping her owner, where she's an assistance dog, but she's actually helping other people now too, because she's out and about in the community doing these fabulous things. So it isn't just about the actual task work that we train our dogs to do. So it isn't just about the fact they pick up objects, they turn on light switches, they're opening doors, they're emptying washing machines, fetching posts, okay? The companionship and the fact that they're a talking point. They are something for people to engage with you about when you're out and about. It makes a huge difference to our clients' lives. So what I'm going to do now is just tell you a little bit about kind of one of my clients that I'm working with, and his kind of journey so far. So if you're a client, if you're interested in joining Dog Aid, okay, the first thing you do is you contact the Dog Aid office. So you can do that by going to the Dog Aid website, so dogaid.org.uk, or you can email the admin team at admin@dogaid.org.uk. And the first thing they'll do is send you a register of interest form. And that's what we're looking for with the register of interest is, do we have an available trainer near you? Okay. And just as a side note, if you're watching this as a pet dog owner, okay, and you're thinking, could I potentially train my dog to be an assistance dog? Then we have trainers available in Crewe, so near Nantwich in Cheshire. We've got trainers available in North Norfolk. That's a difficult one to say. We've got trainers available in Londonderry in Northern Ireland and in Darwin in Lancashire. Okay, so the first thing we do is, have we got an available trainer? If we do have a trainer to pair you with, we then need to look at the eligibility criteria. Okay, so is your dog between the ages of 6 months to 5 years? Are they fit and well? Okay, and are they suitably kind of a happy pet dog? All right, we're not looking for dogs who are all singing, all dancing. What we're looking for are kind of dogs who are happy. So not dogs who are fearful, okay, not dogs with a history of aggression, okay, but a dog that is quite confident, quite a happy dog, okay, that wants to be involved with things and is, comes over and interacts with the trainer when they first come to your house. We also need to look at the suitability of the dog for what you want the dog to do. Okay, so if we've got a little teeny teacup Yorkshire Terrier, okay, what they are physically going to be able to support and help you with is going to be limited compared to a slightly bigger dog. All right. So to give you an example, I have a lovely Springer Spaniel puppy who I'm working with, who is, probably about 10 months old now. Okay. He is quite small, actually. He's short-legged, a bit more like a cocker, but he is a Springer. So height-wise, when I went round to their house, I was looking at the light switches. He physically can't touch the light switches in their houses. Okay, they're too high up. He isn't going to reach. So when we're looking at what the dogs can do, we're looking in the home environment. We're looking at what the client needs the dog to do. And it has to be suitable, okay? But it's about managing those expectations. So there is no point, if you've got a teacup Yorkie, of expecting it to do anything to do with weight bearing or transferring someone from a wheelchair to a sofa. Okay, the dog isn't physically capable of doing that. It is not suitable. We would not be doing it. Okay, so we've got to look at the individual as a client and what their needs are, but also the dog, and is it right for the dog to be doing that? Okay, if it is, and if the trainer is happy to work with that partnership, do they think that they can get on with you? Do you communicate well together? Okay, then we will pair you together and you will start to work through the scheme. So, tell you a little bit about my client. So, I've just mentioned he's a little lively Springer. Throughout lockdown, unfortunately, I haven't been able to see him in person, and his group classes that he was going to, who actually happened to be with another dog aid trainer, okay, albeit not me because I don't do group classes. Okay, he was going for some socialization. He was going to some group classes nearby, and he has decided he's quite interested in birds at the minute. That's fine. Okay, so we are taking a step back from the other bits of training we were doing, which was really working on his lead work. Okay, because my client is a double amputee. Okay, he's an ex-army veteran. He can't have a dog who is pulling him all over the place. Not suitable, very dangerous for my client. Okay, so we've taken a step back from the lead work and we've gone back to the socialization stuff. We're working on Arthur's response around distractions because at the minute the world is very exciting for a young puppy. Okay, who's unfortunately from when he was born had to spend a lot of time inside because of all of our in and out of lockdown situations in the UK. So training progresses at the speed that is appropriate for the client, but also for the dog as well. Okay, so sometimes our clients will end up in hospital, they will be unwell because of their health conditions. That doesn't mean that their training will stop entirely. Okay, if they've got a family member who wants to carry on doing some of the training, then that's fine. Okay, so we always get everyone who's going to be involved in caring for that dog, we always get them involved in the initial meetings because we need them to use the same training methods, okay, and be on board with what we're doing. Because as dog professionals, everybody knows consistency is key, okay, and our dogs are going to succeed much quicker, okay, if everybody in the household is treating them the same when they're out on walks, doing the same steps with them, going through the same training process. If you've got that one person who isn't on board with the training, it can make things a little bit difficult. So we make sure that everybody in the household, potentially carers, okay, potentially dog walkers, whoever's going to be involved in that dog's life is going to be doing things the same way. Okay, so it is all of us are on board together. It's a group approach with this. What sometimes happens is our clients are too unwell, okay, and they need to take a bit of a break from dog aid training. And that's fine, but they need to communicate that with the office. So if that happens, they contact the admin team and they can take a break, sometimes for 6 months, to give them an opportunity to get better and get back to a stage where they are healthy enough to be involved in training their dogs again. Sometimes what can happen is unfortunately people are too unwell and then they need to take a different route. So that's where it might be a case of getting an assistance dog from an organisation where they've trained the dog might be more suitable for that individual. It really does vary and depend. So my little dog at the minute that I'm working with, I'm looking forward to catching up with them properly this week now that we're allowed to outside, and we'll see how he's getting on with birds. Okay, but he is progressing through the scheme and we're hoping he will get ready to do his level 1 very shortly. So how does Dog Aid kind of manage to do everything with one full-time member of staff and 4 part-time members of staff? Well, it is down to lovely people like whoever has donated £5 during my talk. That's really kind. I can't see who you are because my computer is playing up, but as soon as I can do, I will send a proper thank you. Okay, so we rely really heavily on donations. So we are registered with the fundraising regulator and the Institute of Fundraising, and we are a registered charity. Okay, so for those of you who are in the UK, we have a registered charity number, right? Which means you can find us on things like Just Giving. Okay, we've got a client who is also a trainer who is currently doing the alphabet training challenge for us. Okay, so if you have a look at Ruby and Rowley, Megan's Super Dogs, they are posting videos each day and they are doing some training tasks for each letter of the alphabet, and they've got a Just Giving page linked to that. Okay, and anybody who's really impressed by what their dogs are doing are very kindly donating to Dog Aid. Okay, so we rely on that. Obviously, we rely very heavily on our volunteer dog trainers, and we reckon that they've put in kind of say 20,000 hours of their time would be equivalent to the value of like £750,000. So you can see how important it is for us that our trainers are volunteers. Okay, they really are changing the lives of people. So what could you do if you're watching this just as a pet dog owner, okay, and you're not thinking you need to join Dog Aid and that having your dog trained up and as an assistance dog is for you, okay, then you could potentially make a donation to Dog Aid, like whoever that lovely person is who's donated today. You could when we're allowed to have social activities, you could host an event for Dog Aid to raise some money. You could take on a sponsored challenge. Okay, so you could do a run, you could do a mountain climb, you can do a fire walk, whatever it is. Okay, if you think that the work we're doing is helpful and it is something you want to support, then you could take on a sponsored challenge to raise some money for Dog Aid. Something that people quite often um, don't realize is actually you can donate to Dog Aid really simply using Give As You Live and Amazon Smile. Okay, so if you find our social media pages, so at Dog Aid and at Dog Aid Pics on Instagram, you can find out ways there where you can actually raise money for Dog Aid without having to do anything. Okay, you just set it up on your Amazon account, and when you're doing your shopping, which loads of us I think have done over the last kind of year, is bought loads of stuff off Amazon. Okay, when you're doing your shopping, it donates to Dog Aid. Okay, so it's fabulous. It's a nice, easy way for you to do it. Another one that doesn't really cost you anything, stamps. Okay, if you've been getting post, okay, apparently Easter cards are now a thing. If you get an Easter card and it comes in the post with a stamp on, tear the stamp off the corner, collect up your stamps, and then post them to the head office for us. Okay, we can make money from your stamps. So any old stamps, please do keep them. We would love those. So if you are thinking about being a client, head over to the website, have a look at dogaid.org.uk, and there's a tab at the top that says clients. On there, you can read the eligibility criteria. Okay, that goes through the list of things that we can and can't help you with. Okay, it covers not just your dogs, but you as well as an individual, what illnesses, what conditions we might be able to support and help you to train your dog to be an assistance dog for. If you're thinking about becoming a trainer, okay, remember all that we're looking for is that you are a professional dog trainer. Okay, so as much as it's lovely when we get students who want to be involved, we do need people who've got practical experience of working with people, okay, and working with training their dogs. Can you empathize? Can you adjust your training? And most importantly, can you devote the time that is required? Okay, because one of the hardest things is when our trainers, unfortunately, due to personal circumstances, okay, or just because of how busy their private businesses are when they leave Dog Aid. Okay, so I actually have a bit of a plea for any professional dog trainers at the minute. So we really need trainers in Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, Andover, East Sussex, Portsmouth, or Newcastle upon Tyne. Okay, so if you're in the UK and you're watching from those areas, we would love to hear from you. We have clients who've either moved there or unfortunately their trainers have left the scheme. And so at present, they're being supported remotely by myself, by the office team. Okay, so we're doing virtual training, we're doing Zoom training with them. Okay, but at present, they don't have another kind of trainer to be working with. So if you're interested in joining up as a dog aid trainer, please do get in touch. We would love to hear from you. There is quite a bit of paperwork, I'm not going to lie, but that is because we've got to make sure we've got the right individuals working with our clients and as part of the dog aid team. Okay, so there's a couple of theory questions asking about how you would train X, Y, and Z. If possible, I'd love to see some videos of you training dogs. But you might already have those if you're a professional dog trainer. You might already have them on your website, and you could just send me a link to YouTube or whatever it is, and I can have a look at those. And then we will do a DBS for you. Okay, but we pay for the DBS check. We get that all sorted for you. And then you get a whole host of support from the office as well. So please don't be watching this thinking, oh, I can't help because I've never trained an assistance dog before. Okay, you can. You're working with pet dogs. And if you've got the shaping skills and you've got the ability, if you've done trick training, okay, then it really is. These are tricks with a purpose. Okay, the underlying principles are the same, and you can adapt your training and you will be able to help these clients to train their dogs to do amazing, amazing things. So once you become a dog aid trainer, you do get support. At the minute, we're doing monthly webinar style training sessions. So there's been one on using platform training for training assistance dogs. We've had one going through all the client paperwork. We're going to have some more on kind of the models of disability and more of the side of things that maybe people haven't done before. So at the minute, thanks to the National Lottery funding that we got in December, our trainers are currently working through a safeguarding course. Okay, so you do get training, you do get support. We also have a closed Facebook group for our trainers. So if something crops up with your client, or one of the ways that you're trying to train, it just isn't working for that dog, okay, then you can ask for Hive Mind. There's 100 of us on that group. People regularly pop up and say, has anybody got any examples of, I know, a remote treat dispenser that I could try with my client? Or we can't use a clicker. What other options have we got? Okay, and we all bounce ideas around in there, and it's a really lovely, supportive community. We also have our trainer drop-ins on Zoom. Okay, so if you, like me, aren't great at replying to emails, okay, you don't have to send me an email with a question in. There's an hour a week where I'm available. I'm sat on Zoom, and I'm just there to take questions. Okay. And that Zoom training session has kind of taken a different turn in the last couple of months with COVID, because for some of our trainers, they aren't able to work with their clients, or they haven't got a client to work with at present. So those trainers drop-ins on Zoom have really become kind of a supportive coffee morning, because life at present it's been pretty rubbish. Okay. And for those who've had their own dog training businesses turned upside down by the impact of COVID, having a group of like-minded individuals to talk to who can support you and just bounce ideas off and just have the social aspect has been really important as well. So for a trainer, why should do it? It is the most rewarding thing. Okay. When you see the difference you've made to somebody's life, it is huge. Okay. So it is really worth considering. Could you give up that bit of time a week to train an assistance dog client? We cover your mileage expenses. Okay, so it really is your time we're asking for. Okay, we will cover petrol expenses. When you get later down the line, and when coffee shops and things reopen, that there's various expenses that you can claim back as a trainer if you need to. And I have to say, a lot of our trainers are, they're not bothered. They don't claim things back. That's not to say they can't. They definitely can. Okay, but they do it because they love what they're doing, and they do it because they really care about the difference they're making to their clients' lives. So if you're a trainer and you've got any questions, then please do get in touch. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and find where the questions are, because for whatever reason, I've got a lovely blue line saying comments, and then I can see like grey lines underneath with no text in. So what I'm going to try and do is find out what the questions are that have been asked throughout the last kind of 45 minutes and see if I can answer those. But I don't know why I can't see them. So I'm not sure what's going on. Bear with me 2 seconds and I will have a look. But otherwise, thank you so much for everyone who's joined in and watched this today. If you've got any questions that I haven't been able to answer, you're welcome to email me. I am on rachel.rodgers, so that's RACHEL.RODGERS @dogaid.org.uk. Okay. Otherwise, you can head over to our website, which is just dogaid.org.uk, and you should be able to find lots of information there. I'm so sorry that I can't get it to work. It just seems to have frozen on my screen. So what I'll do is I'll end this now, and then I will go back in and answer the questions. I'll type my answers underneath. I do apologise that it hasn't worked, but thank you for giving up a little bit of time this morning to hear about Dog Aid. We are a unique charity. We are really proud of what we do. We're a small team, but we have changed the lives of many people, and that is down to the fabulous volunteer trainers that we have. So head over to our socials, you'll find out so much more. Okay, and you'll see the lovely dogs that we work with and the clients that they are supporting, because they're incredible. The dogs do amazing things all day, every day, and I can't put it across when it is just me sat in my office at home. So really, you need to see the videos, you need to see the pictures. So head over and have a look at those, and I will answer those questions that are on the chat box now. So sorry I couldn't get them to work, but thank you for your time this morning, and I'd love to see some of you joining Dog Aid in the future.